Doctor Who. I'm not embarrassed to say. I'm a little embarrassed to say. I was a big fan of this show as a young boy, and I can prove it. I had like 3 whole Doctor Who children's toys. Matt Smith in David Tennant clothes, Slevine, and Wheelchair Cyberman. I watched all the way up through Capaldi. Everyone said it was I thought it was alright. Then they tried to thrust a woman onto me, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Women in my children's television program? I'm a 37-year-old man. I've avoided them up to this point. I'm not going to fall off the wagon now. As it turns out, nobody else likes women either, and the show's ratings dropped drastically. The BBC, seeing this disaster, decided to bring back Russell T Davies, who wrote the show back when it was good. Everyone was very excited about this, so much so that they didn't see all of the horrific warning signs, such as Davies being a homosexual man and completely retconning one of the main villains of the show for virtue signaling points.
And there's a problem with the Davros of old in that he's a wheelchair user who is evil. And I had problems with that, and a lot of us on the production team had the problems with that, of associating disability with evil.
Very rich coming from the guy who invented Wheelchair Cyberman. He didn't even need to be in the wheelchair. You chose to put him in that wheelchair. You spent half the show's budget making that fancy wheelchair. He gets out of it like 5 minutes later, starts walking around. Has anyone ever looked at this character and thought, wheelchair user? He's supposed to be like half robot. It's like saying a fucking centaur is a wheelchair user. Luckily, nobody saw the Children in Need special because nobody in the UK cares about children, let alone children in need. When returning to the show, Davies made the executive decision that instead of writing anything good, he was instead just going to play on people's nostalgia for the old stuff by bringing the old cast back for the 60th anniversary specials. They do like anniversary specials every 10 years. It's all very homosexual. Everyone's really excited for the return of Doctor Who. After slogging through the woman era, the men's men are back in charge.
You're assuming he as a pronoun.
True. Yes, sorry, good point. Are you he or she or they?
That's right, folks. We got transgender aliens and transgender black people. Donna Noble's daughter is trans. You may be thinking, ooh, gross. Not my Doctor Who. My doctor was a transphobic racist.
That's where I used to live when I was a little boy.
Kill yourself.
But they actually weave this into the story very efficiently. Let me tell you something. Back in the good old days, Donna gets hit by something called the meta crisis, which is a thing that I don't know what it is. But it gives her a bunch of eldritch knowledge. Then she gets her memory wiped and can't remember any of it, or she'll die. But that knowledge still exists. She just can't remember any of it. So when she had a son, the eldritch knowledge jumped from her to him, and he went crazy and he cut his dick off and became a woman. That's actually what seemingly Russell was going for. He was like bragging about it in an interview. I don't think you thought this through at all, Russell. Anyway, they save the world through the power of transgenderism and being a woman, and then they undo the whole meta crisis easily.
We know everything. Thanks. And you know nothing? It's a shame you're not a woman anymore. Because she'd have understood.
We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
Just let it go.
And we choose to let it go.
Should have just done that in the first place, really. If you've never watched this show, you don't know how big a deal this is. This is on like the same level as them bringing the Emperor back in Star Wars. This is horrific. This episode really sets the tone going forward, because I watched this and went, it's over. It's finished. It's done for. Andrew Tate, he wasn't happy.
Fuck, he misgendered Meep! How could you do that to Meep?
Who the fuck is Meep?
The next episode is called Wild Blue Yonder. This episode is interesting because all of the reviewers say it's really good when it's actually shit. And it pisses me off because it makes me feel like a dumbass. So this episode immediately engages in Kalergi Plan wee-wuzzery. The Doctor and Donna end up getting stranded on a spaceship. Keen-eyed viewers may notice that it looks like shit. The monsters here are the Not Things. They are shapeshifters who slowly transform into exact replicas of the Doctor and Donna, but simultaneously they have to make them really scared using bad visual effects. Because when they're scared, they like think faster, and that means that they copy their brains quicker. These characters are mind readers, but they don't shapeshift into any sort of deep-seated fear. Like, they don't turn into a big spider. It's just sort of like exclusively Freddy Krueger arm-stretching shit. Low-budget type stuff, you know. They give themselves long teeth. I mean, that's pretty scary. They don't go crazy with it. They don't give themselves a big multi-mouth like Orochi. It's more like Wish Halloween costume type shit. Then the Doctor and Donna get split up and forced into a who's the real one scenario. Tell me something only the real Doctor would know. A little bit difficult considering it knows everything he knows and also knows exactly what he's thinking at the exact time he's thinking it. Realistically, Russell T Davies created a creature that should be basically impossible to beat. He does this more than once. So at this point, he just starts inventing a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Oh, well, I can't follow any of this. And that is proof. Because let's not pretend I'm the stupid one.
You think you're stupid?
Of course I do.
That's very Donna.
That's so Donna.
That's my Donna. Except, Donna does not think she's stupid.
Oh, I do.
No, Donna thinks she's stupid, and sometimes she thinks she's brilliant. She thinks both. Because that's the astonishing thing about people from our planet. They can believe two completely different things at exactly the same time.
Why can't they grasp that? They know everything you know and everything you're thinking. Let's say, for the sake of argument, they can't grasp the concept of contradiction, even though they definitely should. Surely they would still know the answer anyway, even if it didn't make any sense to them, because they know everything you're currently thinking. This is why I fucking hate this episode, because everybody watches this as it's smart, and it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Salt! You can't cross salt. In our universe, it is said that vampires, demons, and ghosts cannot cross a line of salt until they've counted every single grain.
This isn't a contradiction, this is an outright lie. Why would they fall for that if they know everything they're thinking? I mean, one of them even calls it out as a fucking lie and they still fall for it anyway. Now, throughout this entire episode, there has been a big mystery, because every now and then, a little robot takes a step and a big word booms around the infinity corridor. Wow. What's going on, I wonder? Well, the answer to this mystery is that the ship's single crew member, there's only one person running this entire ship. Look how fucking big this ship is. There's one person running it? That's ludicrous. The only form of transportation is golf caddies. What if there's an engine problem? This person had to spend 3 days trekking down to fix it? So this person managed to fly off course so far that they reached the edge of the universe. Women drivers, you know what I'm saying? And then the not things show up and they start copying her. So she comes up with a genius scheme, but she comes up with it slowly because that means that the monsters can't read her mind for some reason. It doesn't really make any sense. So she programs the self-destruct sequence to take like 1 million years because that means that they can't figure out what's happening, and then she kills herself. Now, I would argue that considering they have all of your engineering knowledge, realistically all you've done there is give them 1 million years to figure it out. Whereas if you set it to a shorter time, like, for example, 1 second, the creatures may very well figure it out, but there's not much they can do about it. I mean, at the end of the episode, the creatures have like 30 seconds to turn it off, and they could not get there in time. Before the episode ends, Russell has to hit you with a little bit of a fake out.
Who's the head of the choir?
Mrs. Bean!
And why is Mrs. Bean funny?
Because it's the name of a vegetable given to a woman.
The real one said that. The real one said that fucking nonsensical shit. I saw some people comparing this to Midnight and then saying they were on par with one another. They were saying this is the scariest episode ever made. If you're scared of this, your fucking life is sunshine and rainbows. You know what I'm scared of? HMRC and syphilis. The final special episode is The Giggle. And this is the episode where you really start to see that Davis has no ideas whatsoever and uses the tried and true Disney method of bringing back old characters to try and member bury people into watching the show. The issue with this in regards to Doctor Who is that not a single casual viewer of this show has watched classic Who. So every time he brings back an old villain, he has to show a literal PowerPoint presentation in the episode explaining who they actually are because nobody knows. So the villain of this episode is the Toymaker, who appeared once in the first Doctor's run and then never again. The Toymaker is a fourth dimensional entity who travels to the material universe to play video games with mortal men. You may be thinking, wow, this is a great concept that could lend itself to an interesting story. I wonder what game he and the Doctor are going to play. They play the most strategic, nail-biting game of all time.
The simplest game of all. Let's cut. Highest card wins. Ace is high.
I don't know, Doctor, maybe you want to think about the stakes here. The human race is about to be fucking wiped from existence. This guy, just 2 seconds ago, he was saying he killed the Christian god.
I gambled with God and made him a jack-in-the-box.
Maybe you shouldn't play an entirely luck-based game. Maybe you should employ some level of strategy. Maybe you should try to win. Maybe that would be a good idea. You might as well have just said flip a coin.
But he'll cheat.
No, shame. That's the one thing he won't do.
But they're his cards. It's all tricks. Of course he'll cheat.
The only rules the Toymaker follows are the rules of the game. They bind his entire existence.
That's not entirely true. He won't cheat, but he will rig it so he can't win. In the first episode, him and William Hartnell played space chess, and the Doctor beats his ass because, I think he canonically invented chess. So what the Toymaker does is he rigs the pocket universe that they're playing in to immediately wipe itself from existence as soon as he loses.
You must finish the game. You cannot leave here until you have.
Of course, I mustn't. You very nearly caught me then.
Make your last move, Doctor. Make your move.
But if I do, this place vanishes,
And then you have won completely?
And if this place vanishes, then the TARDIS and the rest of us will vanish also.
Correct. That is the price of success.
Also, you can see just from watching the clips that they've changed this character from being cunning, smart, intimidating into, oh, he's silly! He's silly and goofy and he's silly! Anyway, the Doctor loses the game, but he invokes best of 3, so they have to play another one. Oh, good. But before they can, he gets killed, and then he bi-generates. Yeah, summoning a black man to assist him. And then with this major advantage, they choose a new game to play.
Name your challenge, Doctor.
You said it. The first game ever.
The ball. Catch.
Bad pick. That is a bad pick. There is no feasible way that this guy is going to lose a game of catch. He just turned a dude into a bouncy ball 20 seconds ago. He said earlier in the episode that he beat the Christian god in a 1v1, and now he's going to lose a game of catch to 2 normal men. At a certain point, he was blowing smoke. There's no way. I feel like Jesus could have won. I feel like if I got Jesus in here, he could have won that easily. Low diff victory. Why didn't you make the ball travel at 1,000 miles per hour? Why didn't you make it as big as the fucking moon? You could do literally anything. This is embarrassing, dude. I would have fucking folded myself up into a little box if I sold this hard too. This is fucking humiliating. Anyway, the new Doctor goes to the old Doctor, and he's like, give me all your shit, dude. Come on. You know how this works.
But I could never let the TARDIS go. Never. It would hurt.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Come on, man. Get a grip. You're coming apart.
I've only been there for 5 minutes, already shaking the man down. And the message of this episode is that the Doctor is very sad, so he takes an indefinite holiday. I like this message because it only applies to Russell T Davies and his friends. No normal person can just do that. Not applicable advice at all. These specials were received okay, outside of the first one, which everybody hated. I think nostalgia pretty much carried these. I think that's the only reason they were received well. That and the fact that it was marginally better than Chibnall's run. But that goodwill immediately drops off when they make Ncuti Gatwa's first episode.
Baby, we can feast. We can die in 3 days at least. Baby blood and baby bones. Baby butter for the baby scones.
I mean, this is ass. I don't think anyone thought this was good. When I saw the trailer for the anniversary episodes, I think there was one scene with Ncuti Gatwa in, and I thought, hey, he looks pretty good. And then you watch the actual episode, and you realize he's got his dick out the whole time. I am 95% certain that Gatwa got the role because he's fucking Russell T Davies. I'm gonna be honest. Call me a homophobe, but realistically, it's water off a duck's back. Gatwa was also a controversial pick because he's gay and not British. I mean, they say he's Scottish, but come on. Are we being serious with this? I remember when they cast him, all of the retarded conservative channels were like, we're back. We're back on the right track. We're back on the right track. We've got a man back in the role. Woke is dead. It's a gay black man. I feel like that is fucking way worse than a white woman. I mean, before the episodes were even coming out, he was saying he wanted to twerk villains to death. They also gave him a whole new sonic screwdriver, which was a very unique design, unique shape compared to the other ones. Russell says it's because he didn't want it to look like a gun. I maintain it's because they didn't want Gatwa to suck on it. Russell T Davies's vision for this season of Doctor Who, famous sci-fi show, was fuck the sci-fi. We're just gonna make it all fantasy now. So the villains are goblins who use rope-based technology, and then there's a big fat one that eats babies. Russell T Davies was also heavily inspired by the Star Wars sequels, you know, the ones everybody liked, and Marvel movies. So he incorporates a mystery box, the J.J. Abrams mystery box that has literally never once worked in the history of cinema. So the new companion, Ruby, her mother is a mysterious cloaked figure who is so important that her daughter can literally warp reality. This has a very exciting and worthwhile payoff. Her other mother is a fat black tax scrounger. Other than this, Ruby has no character, other than the fact that she was raised by a black woman, which doesn't seem to have any effect on her personality, which I think is very unrealistic. A blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl being raised by an African? She shouldn't be alive. The Doctor wins in this episode by using a pair of power gloves, which to the untrained eye look like bargain bin gloves, and then he uses them to impale the King Goblin onto a fucking church spire. When I first saw this, I said that's pretty hard character for the Doctor, pretty brutal way of killing a villain. But maybe they're taking this Doctor in a new direction. Maybe this Doctor is per capita more violent than the other ones. In the previous run, Chris Chibnall looked at the established lore of the show and said, William Hartnell, the first Doctor stealing the TARDIS, the time machine? That doesn't really make any sense. So what he did is he went back and he retconned it so that William Hartnell, he didn't actually steal the TARDIS. It was actually a black woman the whole time. Chris Chibnall, you genius. So maybe in the next episode, Russell T Davies will have this Doctor steal someone's bike or something. At this point, Davies has had 2 chances to introduce this new era of the show, and both of them were shit. But he has one final chance in episode 1 of season 1 of the whole new Doctor Who. He's like rebranded it as a new thing. Disney's involved. I don't know how he pulled this one off. He's managed to essentially scam Disney into funding this. This is what's going to get people hooked into the new era of the show.
Daddy? Oh. Everyone back to work. Show Mummy and Daddy what a good job we've been doing. Make them proud.
Russell, you've gone insane. What were you thinking? You're telling me no one spoke up? The producers? The actors? Nobody spoke up about this travesty? This is like Harvey Weinstein, but worse. This episode is also an abortion allegory.
So, the planet down below will refuse to stop the babies being born. But once they're born, they don't look after them.
It's a very strange planet.
Which I think is quite brave when you have the babies in it as characters. So the message is basically, we should have killed these babies when we had the chance. The villain of this episode is the Bogeyman.
And so it grew the Bogeyman out of bogies.
What?
All of this is bogies.
Good job, Russell. No one stopped him. Nobody stopped him. I like how it pulls them against the wall instead of out the open door. That's what happens when you let Indians invent your gravity. You might have thought that the abortion allegory was heavy-handed and dumb, but wait until they hit you with the asylum seeker allegory.
Dubarra Duplessis is a star-wide organization. It means they can take in lots of refugees.
Hello, would you like to withdraw money? Printing money.
Well, can't we call them for help?
They don't go fetch refugees. That's the fate of every refugee in the universe. You physically have to turn up on someone else's shore.
So what's the message here, Russell? That the Western government should kidnap people from Sudan? They should take the immigrants directly from Pakistan using military force? Now, you might be looking at these last few episodes thinking, Russell, it's too gay. Tone it down, Russell. But no, Russell determined that it wasn't gay enough. It wasn't up to his personal homosexual standard.
Oh, gosh. Oh, goodness me.
This is our new top villain. Daleks, Weeping Angels? Shit. Get rid of them. The Maestro is our new top guy. The further you get into this series, the more it seems like Russell was just trying to fulfill some sort of like homosexual fantasy. First you had all the trans stuff, then the Ncuti Gatwa was cast.
If you don't mind, I just got snowman.
fucked. Now you got this shit. No one's ever asked me to step back from writing queerness into the series. It doesn't even feel particularly queer to me. It just feels natural. He adds, this is the world, and it's 2024. We're all embracing this. Who the fuck is we, bro? We're all embracing this. This is my world. And I'm trusted by my bosses to put my world and to put my writing on the screen, so I confidently do. This is not the world, Russell. The rest of us aren't living 10 doors down from an orgy, Russell. The actor for Maestro chimed in on this topic as well, saying, numbers are not shrinking. They were. For every transphobic, racist, bigoted Doctor Who fan that we lose this season, there are going to be 3 to 5 new fans who are coming in for the representation. So they didn't show up. So they didn't show up. You need to get those Nazis back, Russell. The Nazis were keeping this ship afloat. You really need those Nazis back on side. I remember when Chibnall had the female Doctor defeat the Indian Master by teaming up with the Nazis and having him sent to Auschwitz.
Perception filter. Very easy to jam. Now they'll see the real you.
I say what you want about Chibnall, but he knew who his audience were.
How about that? How about that?
Get those filthy black hands off my wife. Get those filthy black hands off my wife.
Let's say you're gearing the show towards a queer audience, whatever. If you look at the numbers of queers, gays, facts, it actually lines up with the fallen viewing figures. The thing about the LGBT is that they're a massive minority, and that's not even counting that the L in LGBT doesn't even exist. They're all faking. And look, people aren't going to admit it, but normal people don't like gays. It makes them very uncomfortable. It's been scientifically proven that 2 men kissing evokes the same reaction of disgust in normal people as seeing a pile of maggots. So maybe you shouldn't gear your entire flagship sci-fi show around something that disgusts most people. Maybe that's a bad idea. Go back to being spiritually gay instead of being actually gay. Let me sum up the episode quickly because I don't give a fuck about this one. Maestro makes music illegal, so no one can do it anymore.
This is your home if Maestro isn't stopped.
So not that bad then. Just normal London conditions, really.
Where's my mom?
Say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. My heart's kissed.
How does such a powerful villain get defeated? Well, let me tell you. World-famous band The Beatles, made up of course of John Lennon and Paul McCartney, and no one else. The BBC could not remember the other members of the Beatles. They show up, and they play some notes floating above a piano, and then that kills the maestro, and then all of the middle-aged Asian women living in 1960s London, they can rejoice knowing that music has returned to their lives. The next episode is called Stephen Moffat Hates Religion, parentheses, strictly Christians.
Never criticize Muslims. Only Christians.
In an interview about this episode, Stevie Moffat says that after a family tragedy, someone said thoughts and prayers to him, and that filled him with so much rage that he decided to write an episode of Doctor Who with the intention of making the phrase thoughts and prayers into the new Heil Hitler. So the villain is an evil ambulance, right? Which is controlled by an evil corporation. And all of the dumb, retard Christians are fighting mud because the corporation made up a fake war.
You declared war on an empty planet. There are no Castarians in the mud. They're not in the fog. There are no Castarians. I mean, most armies would notice that they were fighting smoke and shadows, but not this lot, Ruby. You know why? Because they have faith.
Shut up!
Faith! The magic word that keeps you never having to think for yourself.
I love the evil corporation shit. It's like the most virtue signaling villain of all time. It's a perfect villain because it means you don't have to call out private banking. Why are housing prices going up? You know what? Probably because Elon Musk has too much personal income and not because Lloyd's Bank is buying up 50,000 houses and chucking them all in the rental market to diversify their income. But nah, dude, we gotta go after the yachts. We gotta go after the yachts, not the guys who are trying to monopolize food and housing. Keen viewers may think it's out of character for the Doctor to hate the religious when he was canonically friends with the Pope. However, the Doctor has always canonically hated the religious, especially Muslims.
This is Jahannam.
You're a Muslim.
Don't be frightened.
So the concept of this episode is very simple. We've got a budget of $50. So what we're going to do, we're going to make Ncuti Gatwa stand in a hole for 50 minutes whilst a randomly generated episode happens around him. And at a certain point, this episode is just a pantomime. Like a guy goes down there, he dies, the doctor hears him dying, so he goes down and gets trapped. Then the guy's girlfriend shows up. Then the guy's 9-year-old daughter shows up in this war zone.
You okay? You need help?
I'm looking for my daddy. So say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
I also think this episode is really good at showing Ncuti Gatwa being really shit. This guy is like woefully fucking miscast. He cannot do it at all.
I'm a much bigger bang than you bargained for. I'm a lot more explosive than I look, and honey, I know how I look. Put a quantum chain reaction through me and I will shatter this silly little battlefield of yours into dust. All of it. In a heartbeat. Into dust.
When the episodes were first coming out, people were saying, "Oh my god, Ncuti Gatwa is so good. He has the energy, the happy energy." I mean, Capaldi could do that, and he's Scottish, all right? Eccleston could do it, and he's from the north. Clearly, anyone can do it. Have you ever seen Eccleston in an interview? He's a real miserable fuck.
Sack Russell T Davies.
It's called acting. But when Gatwa has to be intimidating or imposing or project some level of presence in any way, it's not very good. At the end of the day, it comes down to a simple fact: the man is too gay to play the role. Maybe if they made him more of a sexual predator, it would have worked. You know, he's threatening to, like, rape a Dalek. That would have been intimidating. I would have been intimidated by a black man raping me. And that would also be the first instance of sexual violence in Doctor Who, which the fans have been asking for years. Now, this is a classic episode where we really get to see the personal life of new companion Ruby Sunday. So her and the Doctor go to Wales, and he steps into an evil fairy trap and disappears. And for the rest of the episode, a creepy old woman stands in the distance watching her. And every time someone goes and talks to her, they get scared and run away. Even her black mother, which to be fair could be unrelated, it's unclear. And then a Welsh guy gets elected Prime Minister on the basis that he's going to nuke India.
I am a son of Wales. I want Great Britain to say no more. So yes, I have pledged to defend our borders and set us up on high as one of the greatest nations in the world.
But we're members of NATO.
When did NATO ever, fire a nuclear missile? Ever?
This is supposed to be the bad guy? So Ruby joins on as this guy's like personal slave. Also, he's a rapist. And before he can nuke India, Ruby ruins everything because she uses her old woman powers to force him to resign as Prime Minister.
Oh, we were right there, man!
Which is not how the old woman powers have been explained at all. They don't make people resign from their jobs, they make people run away, specifically from you, unless you want to argue that Ruby has wormed her way so deeply into this leadership campaign that she cannot be excised, like an inoperable cancer. Sort of like a Zia Yusuf-esque figure. There's no point discussing it, to be honest. I've put more thought into this than the writers have. There's a cut forward in time, and Ruby is an old woman lamenting on her pointless chud life. Then the old woman appears in the room. Oh no! And it turned out she was the old woman the whole time. Then it goes back to the start of the episode, and she's like, "Don't step on that fairy shrine." And the Doctor doesn't, and then that's it. That's the episode. Who put the fairy shrine down? I don't know. Probably some fucking coming over here, putting people in fucking time loops and shit. The fans were saying it's actually the fear of the unknown. You don't need to know the details of what the fuck was even happening. On a rewatch, oh my god, it's so much better on a rewatch. I'm not rewatching this. This is an episode about a woman making a man resign from his job and then dying alone. That's literally what happened here. It's a tale as old as time. Would it make more sense for the old woman to be saying, like, get away instead of don't step? That would explain why everyone ran off at least. You could say it's some psychic suggestion shit. This is 100% a first draft. I cannot possibly believe that it's not. This is the episode where shit starts popping off. So I'm going to do a full rundown of this one. Spoiler alert. This episode has a genius twist. Russell T Davies is back. The episode starts off in a futuristic neighborhood, and our protagonist of the episode is this woman. She's called like Rodney Poppadom or something, I don't remember. She wakes up and immediately starts watching TikTok dances and FaceTiming people. So immediately you can establish that this is going to be some Black Mirror retard situation. Then all of a sudden the Doctor pops up and Rodney's like,
"You were right, sir."
So she goes to work, and guess what she encounters? That's right, giant slug. Crazy shit. As it turns out, these giant slugs were created by tiny robots because they're trying to wipe out humanity. Now, admittedly, the episode makes it perfectly clear that the robots are completely capable of killing people. Probably easier than the slugs can, but it's more fun this way. It's more entertaining this way. This is where the episode really starts getting genius. Rodney can't walk because on the social media device, it has like arrows tell them what direction that they were supposed to walk in, and without it, they can't walk.
I don't know how to walk.
What do you mean?
I don't know how to walk without the arrows.
You don't know how to walk?
Without the arrows.
But thankfully, with the assistance of a gay porn star that Russell T Davies presumably wanted to fuck, she manages to escape from all the slugs. Then we get a genius twist, you see. You may have noticed during this episode that this society is too clean. There's not enough trash on the streets. There's not enough crime. That's when it gets revealed. They killed all of the Browns and then immediately made a utopic, perfect society. And then they all refuse the Doctor's help because he's black.
We couldn't travel with you.
What? Why not?
Because you, sir, are not one of us.
And they'd rather live in the woods. Russell T Davies, you genius. I've seen this type of narrative play out shit tons of times in media, and it's every single time they portray society as being like vastly better and everyone as being more happy. You'd think if multiracialism was such a boon, then everyone would be miserable without the Browns, right? They never put forward a tangible benefit. It's always like a moral requirement. You need to suffer for the sake of the Brown. You gain nothing from this transaction other than a feeling of pride. When your young daughter gets raped or killed by some third world Brown, you can take pride knowing that you allowed this to happen.
That reveal at the end of the ep, it was heartbreaking. You probably do realise it in the ep, but it's the moment when we look around and everyone is white, and you're just like, ah.
What? What? No Somalians? Don't tell me. No Indians? I'm gonna vomit.
What we can't tell is how many people will have worked that out before the ending, because they've seen white person after white person after white person. And television these days is very diverse. I wonder, will you be 10 minutes into it? Will you be 15? Will you be 20? Before you start to think everyone in this community is white? And if you don't think that, why didn't you?
Yeah, why didn't you? You fucking racist. You need to live with the default expectation anytime you go out. Anytime you watch a TV show, you will be immediately harassed by a black. There's no breaks. It's a never-ending social contract we've forced you into. Get used to it. I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't even be bothered to watch this one. This is the final one, we're almost done here. Now, fair warning, nobody liked this episode. Even the people who endlessly defend the show hated this. This episode answers all of the series-long mystery boxes. Who is this old woman who keeps showing up? Why does Ruby keep making it snow everywhere? Let me tell you, it's really satisfying and not at all terrible. The Doctor arrives at the budget Avengers Tower and is immediately filled with fear when witnessing this 6'4", 250-pound fucking caveman blundering towards him. In the old days of the show, UNIT was a paramilitary organization. All of its members were military. But now they're just the Avengers. But instead of the Hulk, it's a black transgender woman. And instead of Iron Man, it's a disabled midget.
And I'm Morse Gibbons, Unit Scientific Advisor, 13 years old, accelerated genius. Thanks for passing, asteroid.
Did the passing asteroid make you cripplingly disabled as well, or is that unrelated? So the Doctor tells UNIT that they need to find the modern-day Susan Twist. But UNIT have already found her, because she runs a company that's name is an anagram of TARDIS. And there's no way that's a coincidence, so we're going to spend millions and millions of pounds in taxpayer money to get to the bottom of this one.
Name, anagram, TARDIS, probability of a track, 95%, and rising.
95%? Where the fuck are you getting these numbers from, dude? Are you telling me if she was just called Susan, then the chance of a trap would be 40%? I feel like the fact that she's appearing across all time zones makes it 100% chance. But no, that doesn't even factor into his calculations. It's the Susan and then the anagram, and that's it. All of the other shit doesn't even factor in. Chances of someone being both called Susan and their company's an anagram of TARDIS? Impossible. It's a trap. 95% confirmed. So another UNIT person gets a DNA sample from Susan and determines that she's 100% human. But Kate, the leader, she's got a chrysalis theory, so...
Kate's got a chrysalis theory. Just because Susan tried is nice doesn't mean she can't change.
You know, it's like... fucking who cares about DNA testing? Makes you wonder why they did the DNA test anyway. Now, the entire time that they're doing this, Ruby is in the background with her black mother. She's here. She's here for some reason. And Ruby's spending the entire time going, where is my white mother? Where is my white mother? So in order to find out who Ruby's white mother is, they have to utilize the power of a time machine which runs entirely off of VHS tapes. That's right. I don't know. There you go. I think the writers didn't even fucking care, to be honest.
So this room charges up using the entire nuclear output of Europe and projects an image from the past, like 3D history.
Europe just lets you do that? Europe doesn't let you fish. Europe doesn't let you have a nation. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I buy that the EU would just do that. A couple 100,000 Germans are gonna have to go without electricity for the next couple weeks. They need to give it to foreigners so they can watch fucking Independence Day on VHS. So they power up the VCR time machine to try and get a look at Ruby's mother, but they can't see it because she's wearing the Emperor's cloak, okay? She's wearing the Emperor's cloak, so they can't see it. And then she starts pointing directly at the Doctor, and they're like, oh my god, why is she pointing at the Doctor? This is such a mystery that's definitely gonna have a good payoff.
Can she see us?
I don't think she can, but you can't move, you can't. Is there anything there?
Colonel Chidozi, you will return to your position.
Just see if there's anything there.
Doctor, you said not to move.
I know. But just look.
You can fucking go, mate. Come on. You can move. And then he does, and he just fucking dies instantaneously. It's not even 2 seconds. He's walking for 2 seconds, and then he just instantly fucking dies. What the fuck am I watching, dude? What the fuck am I watching?
Doctor, can I ask?
Morris, a second, please.
No, I'm sorry, I've got to ask. What is that?
Nobody fucking noticed that. He was the only dude who noticed that. I've got to ask, sorry, what is that massive, ginormous, totally unmissable dark cloud of death that's rising out of the fucking background? So Doctor then starts having a little cry over this one, so much so that his own assistant has to tell him to stop being a fat before leaving to fuck around with Susan Triad. Then Unit realize, oh my god, the dark cloud of death is still in the building.
This is the Doctor, we're on our way back. Try to contain that thing.
I bring Sutek's dust.
Open fire! All weapons!
And then this black woman starts spouting off bullshit, and they all go, Who is this? Who is this woman? What is this woman's name? Oh, this woman? Oh, that's Harriet Arbinger of... Fucking hell, that's so shit. That's Harriet Arbinger, of course. You don't know Harriet Arbinger? So Susan turns into like a bird, and then she kills her assistant, and they play like a stock shock effect number 2. I think it's called, I've got the actual name of the effect. It's called stock shock effect number 3, actually. It's number 3, sorry. And then all of the letters on the company name, they start changing. And the Doctor goes, oh my god, we got the wrong anagram. Susan Technology, Sutek. Sutek.
It was the wrong anagram.
It's not even a fucking anagram. It's a play on fucking words. It's not even a good one. This is on the same level as Nick Gers. Let's get down to brass tacks here. Russell set up this group called the Pantheon. They're all meant to be gods. Shit idea. Sucks. Get rid of it. It wouldn't be as bad if he'd created original characters for it. But instead of this, he takes a bunch of completely unrelated characters from old seasons of the show with completely unique origins and gimmicks, and he shoves them all into this new Pantheon, which has the double effect of making the character more boring and also not making any sense. Like, what do the Toy Maker and Sutek and the Trickster have in common? Whatsoever. I mean, usually in mythology, they're related by blood, or they're all fucking each other, or both. I mean, previous pantheons that have been in the show have been connected in some way. I mean, the Eternals, they were all the same species, but in this pantheon, there's no relation. The Toymaker is some kind of like extra-dimensional thing, and then they turned him into the god of toys. The Trickster is supposed to be the physical manifestation of the universal concept of chaos, and they made him into the god of traps. I mean, why not the god of tricks, man? His name is the fucking Trickster. And Sutek isn't even a god, he's just like a psychic alien. And admittedly, he was a powerful one, but alas, he is just a fucking alien. Also, the Trickster was also previously on a pantheon.
The meeting of the Pantheon of Discord and the last of the Time Lords.
Did he just fucking retcon that shit? Or, I mean, you wrote that, dude. Russell, you wrote this. You specifically wrote into the show that this guy's on a fucking pantheon already. And if they are the same pantheon, I mean, you're telling me that the Toymaker, whose whole gimmick in this canon is that he's bound by the rules of a game, he's some sort of like chaos-based entity? I mean, the whole point of the previous pantheon, the Trickster's pantheon, was that they turned order into chaos, and then they like jerked off over the results. They went back in time and they changed stuff to fuck with it. Yeah, in the Trickster's first appearance, he fights off alien invasions personally, because aliens destroying Earth isn't chaotic enough, and instead he wants an asteroid to destroy the Earth instead.
Never mind the Bane.
What about the Slovene and the Gorgons and the patriarchs of the Tin Vagabond? I stopped them all from taking over the Earth. What happened to them?
I turned them all away. What I need is the meteor.
Why? What's so special about that?
Those other species, they invade for profit, power, revenge. The meteor is pure chaos. The destruction of the Earth for no reason at all. Just blind chance.
But this guy's cool with Sutekh personally killing everyone in the universe. Why would Sutekh even be the leader of this pantheon anyway? He seems way weaker than the Toymaker. I do not buy for a second that the Toymaker would be scared of Sutekh, but not the Christian god. Even if you want to argue that Sutekh is really smart and would easily outsmart him and win the game, which he wouldn't because he wasn't very smart. Both of them get outsmarted by the guy he's playing the game with right now. You should have just made it the Valiard, alright? If you made it the Valiard, it would have made a lot more sense. They just don't want to have the first Black Doctor be the one that's also evil. Now, Sutekh is a very old Doctor Who villain. Originally, he wasn't a dog. He had like a pharaoh-themed design, but they made him a dog instead because otherwise it's cultural appropriation. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I never understood what was all that Egyptian stuff.
Cultural appropriation.
We can't be having that. His original backstory is that he's a psychic alien who tried to genocide his own species. So they took his powers away and locked him in a pyramid. Sutekh's whole deal is that he wants to kill everyone, and he can realistically do it, so the Doctor's win condition in the episode is that he has to kill Sutekh before he gets any of his powers back. And the way Sutekh gets his powers back is by leaving the pyramid that he's in. So what the Doctor does in the episode is that the portal that Sutekh is going to use to leave his pyramid, he makes the travel time of the portal last forever, and then Sutekh dies of old age.
I moved the threshold of a time-space tunnel into the far future. He could never have reached the end.
But Russell retcons it, so now he actually survived by grabbing onto the TARDIS, and he's been there the whole time, which is retarded, because a lot of shit has happened since then. There was an episode where the TARDIS literally blows up. There was an episode where it gets shrunk. There's an episode where the TARDIS's AI gets put into the body of a fucking human woman, and then the machine gets taken over by House. Are you telling me that House didn't notice? He didn't notice the dog. As well as this, Russell T Davies also brings him back at full strength, which means he should immediately win just by virtue of existing, and he should have been able to win at any time over the course of the entire show. But Russell T Davies accounted for this and gave him a new weakness, that being MILFs. He really wants to know who Ruby's mother is. He's really fucking invested in this plot arc. It's never explained why he even gives a shit about this. Realistically, he definitely wouldn't. Now, if I was writing this, I would have just said that his soul escaped, but his body died. And that would explain why he doesn't have all of his powers. So to sum up the rest of the story, they go to the future because the evil Prime Minister did DNA tests on everyone, so he knows who Ruby's mother is, even though the ambulance in the future didn't know. Neither did the TARDIS, and also they already did a DNA test in literally the first episode and it didn't work. Then they put a rope on Sutekh, and then they drag him across the sky to his death. That's the big victory there. We got him. Most dangerous creature in existence, get a big rope on him, you know? Toymaker wasn't sure he could handle that rope. He didn't think that was a game he could handle. Tug of war. A normal man won it. And then the huge epic reveal. Who is Ruby's mother? Just some normal woman, dude. Just some fucking regular woman. What about the snow and all the crazy shit? It just happens. Just happens, you know. What can they say? Just shit happens, you know?
She was important. Because we think she's important.
This is kind of my reaction to, bear with me now, those Star Wars films. I can't remember their titles, but in the last trilogy, the second film said that Daisy Ridley was nothing special. Came from there was nothing special about her parentage. That she just got the Force.
Ordinary.
She was just ordinary, an ordinary person with the Force. And then the next one, they changed it all so that she was the child of the Emperor, and they made her. She was like cosmic and had godlike powers. And I really loved the version where she wasn't special, where she was ordinary. So this is my reaction to that.
Russell, you're fucking cracked. You've lost your goddamn mind. You might be thinking, why was she able to point at the Doctor when they went back in time and they looked at it? Well, I think you'll find she was actually pointing at the road sign. She was pointing at the road sign, and the road sign said Ruby Road on it. It said Ruby Road because she was naming her daughter, right? By pointing at the road sign. That's right. You might be asking, why was she wearing a Sith robe? Well, Russell can answer that.
Why Louise Miller wore an ancient medieval cloak to the church? I think that's time shrouding her.
Yeah, time shrouded her with a physical physical robe. As stated before, literally everyone hated this. Even the people who had been defending the show to death over the course of the season, even they had to admit this fucking sucks. So what did we learn about these new characters over the course of the series? Well, Ruby is a non-character who will purely be remembered for the fucking ass pull that happened in the finale. And the Doctor is gay, also cries every episode bar one, and it's the one he wasn't in, which makes him seem incredibly emotionally unstable. Originally, he was branded as like a more emotionally stable Doctor. All of the other Doctors have had random bouts of murderous intent. So this was advertised as a new start, a more emotionally mature Doctor. But I don't think Russell knows what emotional maturity is. He's like iDubbbz. He has to show all of his emotions on his face. And if that means bursting into tears over a fucking spoon, then it is what it is. And when all is said and done, nothing was achieved here. The Whoniverse got thrown out immediately. The series was breaking records for lowest viewing figures. I think I was actually getting about 80% of the views the show was getting, which is kind of crazy to think about. Keemstar was outpacing this show. There were people who stuck through Jodie Whittaker's entire run, which to be honest is probably worse than this in every technical way. And even those people, even they didn't want to stick around and watch this. The fact is that politics is too divisive. I feel it's impossible to ignore. People would rather watch a worse acted, worse written, worse edited, lower budgeted show than watch a show that has gays in it. We've reached a point now where I don't think there's a single person who hasn't had some beloved childhood IP completely ruined by women and homosexuals.